I don't know if this was your intention of the story, but I think like we deal with this a lot with our clients, right? They come to us and they ask us to do things that aren't realistic, right? Like build like 1 million followers on Instagram without spending any money.
This is E-Commerce Uncensored. Brought to you by Fast Forward Unlimited. We're coming to you fully loaded and exposed with all the strategies and techniques for growing your e-commerce business.
Hey everyone, and thanks for joining us on another episode of E-Commerce Uncensored. This is episode number 66. My name's Kevin Manel, and I'm here with
Jason Caruso
and Paul Chu.
Paulie Chu's been sitting in a lot with us lately, huh?
He's going to from now on.
Full time, right?
Wow.
You guys let me play in the sandbox with the big boys now.
Yeah.
Son of a gun.
It's fun. I like it. He can kind of fill in the gaps.
Yeah, come on. You got to bring some youth to the show.
You're right, because
you guys are old.
You're right, and you guys do some different stuff than us old folk. Like, I'm like Facebook, and my like niece and nephew are like, huh? I'm even on Facebook. And I don't even go near Facebook.
You always shit on Instagram, and I'm jumping to its defense because that's where it's at.
And they kind of old person shame you. They're like, "Oh God, you're old."
Yeah.
Like, really? Like Facebook hasn't been around that long. It's like you listening to records. Anyway.
Yeah.
So today I just wanted to bring up a topic that came up to me last week, and I wanted to bring it to these guys and just chat about it a little bit. I had my brother-in-law came to me. He got connected with a friend of his that he met several years ago.
And your brother's a DJ. I think you should probably start off by
My brother is a DJ in the city.
He's a pretty New York City.
Chaz Rockwell,
at Chaz Rockwell.
Plug it for him.
Yeah, and he's you know, from what you say, he's pretty well known.
Yeah, he's pretty in the scene, and he's pretty active on social media. So this company came to him, who kind of started several years ago and really didn't make it that well, and they came to him to try to increase their social following and be more engaging and interact on social media a little bit more. The background of the company is they're a membership company for DJs, so that was another connection that they had. He's a DJ, and this is a membership site that gives DJs access to music on demand pretty much, and also pre-access or
yeah, to new stuff.
Pre-release. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
So if Jay-Z comes out with an album, he'll get notified. He'll tell you the details of it if we ever have him in here on the podcast, but you don't need to know all the details about it. It's basically a membership site that offers music to DJs, and they have 300 active subscribers currently.
Are they paid subscribers? Like,
they're 300 paid subscribers.
So they're paying $25 a month. There's 300 of them.
300.
Okay. So yeah, okay.
But they also have, originally they had 1,000 built up over the years, and they had lost 700 or so, you know. Okay. So they have actually 1,000 email addresses. So they tasked him with social media, but also threw in the fact that they have, 1,000 email addresses, 300 of which are active subscribers. So when he heard that, he's like, I got to talk to Kevin, because he's always talking about how great email is, and they need to take advantage of this, and he was getting all like fired up about email. So he called me and said, ask me what I would do in that situation.
Now, so I understand this, the 1,000 people were members at one point.
Yes.
Okay, so there was 1,000 members, now they're down to 300 members, 700 left, but he still has these 1,000 people who at one time were paying for the site.
That's right.
So they need him. So do they need him to?
They didn't even talk to him about email. They just it was like a side thing. They're like, we want you to post on our Instagram, post on Facebook, Twitter, whatever. Oh, by the way, we have this 1,000.
Okay, so
emails.
Email really wasn't the point of him. It was more, what can he do with those 1,000 people?
Yeah. Well, no, they didn't tell him to take these 1,000 email addresses and do something with. They said, you're a DJ in the scene. You're in New York City DJ. You're active on social media. You're good at this kind of shit. We want you to post on Facebook, on Instagram, and Twitter. And what else is there? Snapchat's dead, right?
That's pretty good though. Yeah. Facebook and
mostly
Instagram.
That's all they wanted him to do. So he wanted to go. Once he heard they had emails, he's like, I'm going to go above and beyond. I'm going to talk to my brother-in-law and find out what's the best way to use these emails.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, 1,000 emails are not a lot. but they are 1,000 buyers, so it is a customer list, which is definitely more powerful. So, are they going to spend money on advertising, or is it just like we want you to like grow our
organically? They haven't talked about it.
Right. So Facebook ads was not even going to be an option to them.
Well, I don't know that. Like they didn't. That's another thing. Like they didn't talk to him about running ads. All they wanted him to do was organic posts. But he was like, I need to put a plan together, show that I know what I'm talking about, and then I can be a part of this business. So he went to them with recommendations. He wanted to go to them with recommendations of what they should do. The whole package as far as marketing. Now he's not a trained marketing person. He's a DJ, but he is in the social scene. So he figured he was a little bit of an influencer potentially for them, and he's a good writer, so he could help them out in that area.
Gotcha. So, what your advice to him is to like.
Oh yeah, I threw a whole bunch of shit at him. Like I overwhelmed the shit out of him on a phone call.
Create like a lookalike audience and.
Oh yeah,
like
I totally confused the shit out of him.
And yourself.
And myself, yes.
Yeah, I mean, you had to confuse yourself because before we got on today, this story has completely changed from the first time. This is much more clear to me now. It went from like email marketing to lookalike audiences on Facebook, but they didn't really tell them to do Facebook.
This was a recording we did earlier. I wanted to come in here and tell the story straight through without even talking to these guys before I blurted the story out, and it just kind of backfired on me, as Paul said.
It backfires because you're funny when you tell a story. Like something else like comes in your head, and it's like you can't just like ignore it and just like keep going with the story. You have to stop and bring it into the conversation.
He's got things firing off every direction.
Like you do this like even with our clients sometimes. Like Kev, like you can't go from like this to like this. You have to explain how you got there. Like
I do. I told you I have ADD, and like it happens in my head too. Like if a thought comes up, like I have to say it or I'll forget about it.
Yeah.
And it totally got anyway.
Yeah,
the whole story got jumbled around.
Because let me tell you something. This is a much more clear story than before.
Well, you're actually engaging with the conversation.
No.
This time.
I'm trying to keep you in chronological order. I mean, you literally went from he has 1,000 emails to a lookalike audience, but they didn't hire him to do Facebook, so it's a really good way to still use the audience, even though that they're not doing Facebook ads. Well, a lookalike audience can't be used unless you're doing Facebook ads. So you were kind of just jumping all over the place. But so now I get it.
It's not like they came to him and said, we want to run Facebook ads. We want to run Instagram ads. It was only organic social media posting.
This is interesting, right? Because I think that I don't know if this was your intention of the story, but I think like we deal with this a lot with our clients, right? They come to us and they ask us to do things that aren't realistic, right? Like build like 1 million followers on Instagram without spending any money. Mm-hmm. Or we had a client that we're not working with anymore, but basically like we got their website up and running, and we're like, okay, let's start marketing it. And they're like, no, you told us you had the magic sauce where you can do this. And I said, I didn't say that we could do it without any money. I mean, what do you want me to do? Snap my fingers until somebody buys your product and see how many people will like your page because of that? I mean,
yeah, that's basically exactly what my thought was.
Right.
Coming to you guys with this.
Right. So they basically went to him and said, hey, we want you to pull a rabbit out of your ass and get all these followers organically, but you got to do it by just posting stuff about us all day.
Well, it seems like he needs to just start small and start with what they're asking for him and prove to them that he can handle and do that.
Yeah, but
while using Kevin as a resource, like get a whole outline, get a plan for what they could potentially do with spending money and actually making progress, like you're saying, doing what you need to do to grow a following, which costs money for ads and everything. And then show them that, but not implement that, because that's just in over his head, it's in over their head.
But I think the premise of their request is wrong.
Well, I think, yeah. The premise of their request was wrong because it's not something that's going to necessarily grow their business. However, where Paul's coming from, and I think I do it a lot of times, is someone comes to us and asks us for one thing, but we go to them and say, well, you need to have this. And you kind of helped me out with this because I was doing it a lot. I don't do it as much anymore because that's what we know is right thing to do.
So right? Like somebody asks, yeah, you did do this a lot. Somebody come into us and say, "Hey, I want to hire you for email marketing." No. No. Right now,
I would never say no. I would just try to sell them on several other different services.
And not even sell them. You'd be like, "But we got to do your website first." And they'd be like, "But that's not what I want. I want you to do Facebook ads.
Yeah,
I want you to do
exactly.
email." No. But your website is not ready for that. And like they would. I don't know that you turned anybody off by that, but it would be like you almost confused them because not confused. That's not even the right word either. But
You weren't giving them what they wanted.
right,
Even
they asked
even
for
if
one
what they
thing and you're
wanted
trying
wasn't going to work.
to do the right thing by them and tell them what you think they should have instead, and they'd be like, "Well, that's not what I want." So sometimes
Right.
you have to give them, or sell them what they want and give them what they need. And we spoke
And
about
in this instance too, it's like you're going to say, I want someone to post organically for me, which doesn't really cost anything, to telling them, oh, you got to pay for Facebook ads. And then you're like, all of a sudden you
lose them.
You've triggered something in their brain. And they're like, whoa.
Yeah,
You know
now
what
they
I
got to
mean?
pay for something.
So that's the line.
Matter of fact, that happened to you today. You were talking to our bookkeeper, and she basically said to you, "Kevin, you're going to have to spend X amount of dollars on your taxes." And you're like, "Oh, I've never spent any money to do my taxes." Same exact thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, you basically thought that you were going to pay $100 or $200 for your taxes, and then she recommended like a real person, and that guy wasn't going to be $100, and you also were like, thought you were going to do one thing, and then something else came out of it.
Yeah, and it triggers this thing, and it's not like us or Josh going to them with this plan is like a way to get money out of them. It's just you're telling them what the best thing to do is. You're going to help them, but that doesn't always communicate that way when that happens.
No, because they have their mindset already, and once they have their mindset, they've made a decision to spend money on X. And then, like, you say, no, don't do X, do Y. And then it's like a whole brain F-U-C-K.
Yeah, I mean, I think to Paul's point, it's like it's good for him to go with this write-up of strategies that they can implement. But I think he does have to, just stick with what they asked him to do.
Yeah, but like I said, though, or like we said, like that's like a very... What they asked him to do, he probably should have said no. Because that's
Why?
not something he can do.
Why not? He can't just be active on social media and engage like everyone should do anyway, even if you're not
Well,
spending.
where's he going to get the pictures?
His
Where's he
long-
going to get the content?
His
Where's
life.
He gonna,
His
Yeah,
lifestyle is
his
following
life
him.
has it. Like, he has the content.
So-
the problem is their expectations. He needs to make sure that their expectations are correct.
So wait.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me understand this. Guy comes to me and says, "Look, we're not going to pay you any money, but you're kind of tied into a group of people, and I want you to go on our page, and I want you to post your life all day." I would say to the guy, "Go take a walk,
I don't
and
know
I'll
if
go do
that's.
it myself."
I mean, they're not they're not expecting him to do it for nothing. They're going to pay him to not a lot of money. That's at the start, but they're going to pay him to do the work.
Well, I mean, if he's going to do that and grow their following to any significant number, I would tell him to do it himself. Why would he do it for them if all he's doing is his own stuff? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, I don't know the details about what exactly their content they're going to be posting is necessarily. I don't know if they're just going to use his life as like the the theme of their content. It could be totally something different but he has to be the one that's active on the social media.
Yeah, that's okay, but
But the
it has to
activity
be their stuff.
But the thing is like the activity on social media doesn't equate to sales. Just organic activity on social media. Oh yeah, you get the vanity number of a lot of followers potentially, which that might not even happen.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. You don't get money just for having followers. It's like there's a whole strategy involved to turning followers into customers, turning an audience into you know what I mean? Like there's a whole string of things that have to happen first before you can just start getting money from people.
And I'm going through this right now with the person that I used to work with. She has 255,000 followers on Facebook. That doesn't mean anything. Like there's about 6,000 of them that are really active, and you wear those 6,000 out real quick. When you're trying to sell them stuff.
Yeah, the client. We were talking about client earlier. It's like their main thing is I want 10,000 followers on Instagram so I can have that swipe up feature, right? Like that's great. That's really cool. But who cares if someone who's not really an interested customer is swiping up on your Instagram, right?
Well, because I don't think people really understand that, though. I think we've had another client who had 1.2 million followers on Facebook. That doesn't equate to shit.
Well, first of all, like we mentioned in the very beginning of this podcast, like Facebook is in some ways dying with certain crowds. I mean, I know it's like still a huge platform, but I think people on Instagram are way more engaged. I think there's a lot more potential to sell things on Instagram. I don't know. I think you also have to have the strategy in place. Like you might have 100,000 followers, but if you don't have anything like into that, it's not going to work. But you might only have 1,000 followers, but if you have a good strategy and you're engaged, you might have a much higher percentage of people buying things or interested, even though you have a smaller number of followers.
I just can't figure Instagram out. I mean, we had this conversation before. I go on there, and by the very nature of the platform, it's just pictures. And if you can't put text on the picture because Facebook doesn't like it, then what the hell? I mean...
Well, you're an old man.
Well, no, I mean, like, there are certain products that'll work. Like, if you're selling pocketbooks, you put a beautiful pocketbook up there, yeah, people will click it. Like, you're selling watches, yeah, people will click that. But, like, what about, like, a supplement or something? Like...
I mean, I think the main point is that, 50 engaged... You always say this. You say it. 50 engaged customers or 50 engaged people in your business are better than 10,000 followers who aren't engaged.
Yeah, right. And that's right. If you're selling a product, I'm saying Instagram itself. Like I don't ever click on an ad because oftentimes I don't click on dudes, quote unquote entrepreneurs that are looking into like making a cool face.
Look, you guys are marketers. You guys know why those ads are getting to you because that's stuff that you're looking at, dude. Like, to be honest, I get ads that are about products that I either are looking into or that I'm searching for, so it interests me. So to be honest, it's like you're probably just looking at weird stuff like on Instagram or the
internet.
Needs
to fix their newsfeed ads setup because it's just not appealing at all to me. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like if Billie Jean or I'll be honest with you, even if Gary Vee, who I am very familiar with, if a picture of him comes through my news feed and he writes under it, buy my product, and all I do is see his picture of him looking at New York City, I'm not going to click it. There's nothing there for me to click. A little stupid learn more button underneath the picture pops up. No one reads the text under. Look, we've run hundreds of ads for companies, and we've also run hundreds of ads for people on Instagram. I've never once seen it really successful. Never.
You could do videos too on Instagram, which helps.
Show me one. Tell me one client of ours that Instagram really knocked it out of the park.
Well, I'm actually running. I think it's a better way to do it is an Instagram story ad. I think that's the better platform to do it on. Because
we're talking about the news feed of Instagram.
I haven't had much success on the news feed, and I don't click on the news feed. I personally have never clicked on an ad in the news feed.
Yeah, right.
Because I think the Instagram ad platform is messed up. It's like because you can't click on if you click on the image, it doesn't do anything. Because you double click, you get a like. Right. You have to click on the learn more bar underneath the picture.
I mean, and that's basically what I'm saying.
You're asking somebody to do too much, essentially.
But you're asking them to do something without giving them any information.
But you can use a video.
Okay.
I know you're asking me to give you an example of what works, but I'm telling you can use a video to convey that message.
I'm telling you that when I see an Instagram ad, like an image ad that has a stupid thing that pops under it and says "learn more," it doesn't give me enough information to want to click.
I think you guys are looking at Instagram advertising in a little bit of an antiquated way. You're not necessarily maybe going to sell something immediately first time someone sees it on Instagram, like in Facebook ads or even on an email blast or something. If you get someone to just go to that page, that was successful because they're going to see all the content that was on that account. They might follow them and then they'll see them again. Like you've said years ago and numerous times, you got to show people what you're selling and yourself like 6, 7, 8, 9 times before you sell them. That's the whole point of an Instagram ad because they are successful. I buy stuff off of it. I'm interested in them.
You've bought stuff off of Instagram.
I bought stuff off Instagram. What? That watch, I told you about it.
Okay. Besides that,
other people,
$5 watch.
Look, man. You might not like it, but you have to admit you're not in the demographic who Instagram is going for.
My wife is on Instagram all day, and she doesn't buy anything on it. At least everything it seems to be Amazon. All right. She buys everything on Amazon.
Well, we can pull up numbers later and talk about another podcast of the success of it because it works.
I think that the story ad probably works. I think that video ads probably work. I was specifically talking about a stupid image that comes through my Instagram feed that has a learn more button on the bottom.
I do agree with you. I agree with you with that. I don't agree with you with the fact that Instagram is not a good place to have that.
No, I'm not saying that. Wherever there's millions of eyeballs, there's always an opportunity to sell them stuff. I'm saying basically that the Instagram platform, ad platform, sucks.
That's your opinion and not factual, though.
It's factual.
It's not.
It's
Everything
factual.
Jason says is factual.
It's not.
It's a fact.
It's absolutely not.
Russell Brunson says, was it Russell Brunson said that Instagram is...
the swipe, the story ad is like the most
so important. And I think it is. And I look at the story more than anything else. Like, I don't really scroll through my feed anymore. I just look at people's story.
I follow all the golf, PGA Tour. I follow all that, but
well, you're on it for a different reason.
I'm
That's
just
all I'm
thinking,
saying.
I'll see an entrepreneur on Facebook, and then I'll go on Instagram and see that same ad. That's another thing. I don't think you can use the same ad that you use on Facebook on Instagram. I think it's foolish. They want you to use the same ad because they don't really care, right? When you set it up in the back end, it's put it on Instagram. No.
They want you to just leave it up to them to put it wherever they want.
Right. And I saw this entrepreneur who he had a ponytail, and I saw him on Facebook, and I read the text on Facebook ads because it comes before the image. And then I seen the same guy with the same exact ad on Instagram with all the text at the bottom, and I'm like, I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at the picture because that's what Instagram is.
Yeah,
right.
It's mostly photo.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. I think that they need to allow more text on it, or just get a little bit more, a little less restrictive as to what you can put on it.
Well, I think that's intentional. I think they do that because both Facebook and Instagram, obviously Facebook bought Instagram, but they integrated ads to look like a regular post. I know there's been a lot of other podcasts, and I've heard a lot of other people talking about how that was intentional to be discreet, and it fits right in. Next thing you know, you're looking at a sponsored ad. You don't even know it. But when you see that on Facebook and there's a big chunk of text or a little bit of a caption, you immediately dismiss it. At least I do. I think on Instagram, people don't dismiss it. You don't dismiss it or realize it's an ad until you see that swipe bar, which, maybe does or doesn't work. But the whole point is it's supposed to fit in much more cohesively with the rest of your posts that you're already seeing in your feed.
Go on Facebook, go on Instagram. I'll guarantee you, I would bet a week's worth, whatever, of money, whatever. I guarantee you that the images on Facebook and Instagram that have text on them are clicked more than images that don't, and they don't allow you to put text. When an image comes through Facebook, if there's no text on it, it actually catches my interest. I don't even unless it's a golf thing, but still they have to have text on it. But Facebook doesn't want text on it for whatever reason. Just saying, I think the Instagram ad platform is broken. I think, not saying it doesn't work. For some brands and some products, it's like anything else. People will tell you there's an anomaly, whatever. I just don't think it's effective. I don't look at them. I know anybody that I talk to doesn't look at them because I ask them these things.
You're not the optimal Instagram user. That's all. That's a fair opinion, but no, she's not an optimal Instagram user either, man. She's not as active on Instagram as I am, as other people. Not for different reasons. You guys have a kid. You're looking for different things than someone who's trying to buy clothes and buy into a lifestyle of travel and design and art and culture and music. It's a much different demographic, which is what Josh and Kevin were talking about.
Yeah, there's a definite split in demographic where this specific instance, his demographic is going to be on Instagram. No doubt.
And I agree. And you know what? That's a good point. If I'm an artist and I see some nice art come through my Instagram, just an image of art, right, I would say that would be clicked. But for us as entrepreneurs, it doesn't work because it's I'm not going to click on some dude's face.
But it depends if you were going after a Paul's age group. Yeah, Paul's an entrepreneur. That's where his demographic is. It's you got to kind of switch your mindset a little bit because they are there on Instagram.
I'm saying that the ad platform, the way it is working right now, I'm not talking about demographic. Of course, his demographic is there. I'm saying that the ads, the way the platform works, is not effective. Maybe
for you though, I don't know why you're hung up on that. It doesn't work for you, but it's successful for me. So as an entrepreneur, as a marketer, as a business, why would you not want to consider Instagram ads? They do work. You don't buy something off of them, but other people
man,
do.
I have the pleasure. I look at Instagram ads that we run for our company, our customers.
Even our clients. What are our clients selling? Like you said,
sunglasses. Like
I'm running an ad on Instagram for them.
Right, and how many orders have? I'll even open it up to you. How many orders have we had from Instagram? Just tell me how many.
Zero.
Okay, thank you very much.
We're getting orders on the retarget ad that's on Facebook.
Okay, so right, and I'm not saying there's no use for it. I'm not saying that there's not people there. I'm not saying that his demographic isn't there. What I'm saying is, it's not. There's a reason why they have to push Instagram all the time on Facebook. It's because I don't believe as many people are using it. And I believe that because let me give you another example. What about Pinterest? Should be a great platform to sell things. Whoever talks about Pinterest ads?
My wife's always on Pinterest.
Right.
Trying to buy shit.
How many times do we use Pinterest ads?
Very few.
Very few. Well, I'm just saying that
it's the audience, man. It's like you can't tell a kid who's trying to go after a 20, 25, 30-year-old audience to start running Facebook ads. It can be part of the strategy, but it can't really be the number one. They don't even go on Instagram. Paul barely goes on Instagram.
You mean
Facebook? You mean Facebook?
Flip that, reverse it.
Yeah.
But you guys are I'm not saying that. I get it. His demographic is there. They're not on Facebook.
But what do you tell him though? I'm
saying
to run Facebook ads.
No, I'm just saying that this whole conversation started is that I don't think the Instagram ad in the newsfeed is effective. That's the only thing I'm saying. I'm not saying whether his demographic is there or not, or maybe, or between 18 and 20 they can't be there, but they're supposed to be there. It's effective for Paul, but it's not. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the ad platform in Instagram is flawed because a simple image isn't enough for me to click. Mm-hmm. Now, yes, if I see a golf club or a product like that, you would click on it if I see like a nice golf club. I don't know what the hell I'm clicking over because you can't say anything about it, and I don't read the comments underneath. But yeah, I would probably click it. But is my intent to buy in that scenario? Probably not.
I agree. I agree that the ad platform can be fixed, but anyway, should we get back to the actual point of this conversation and stop arguing about it?
Wait, just real quick. We can get back to that. But
what is it? What do you got, Paul?
It says that Instagram mobile ad revenue hit nearly $7 billion in 2018, which is $5 billion more than just 2 years ago. So,
for who?
Just in general.
No. I'm saying for Instagram or for...
You mean people spending money on Instagram?
No. Like who's making the $7 billion?
Instagram.
Right.
People are using the platform.
But that means people are using it. That means people are using and having success if Instagram's benefiting off of it.
I know a lot of people.
The ad platform on Instagram is growing. Like you didn't always have ads on Instagram either.
Right.
Like, the story ads are evolving over time. So I don't know. It's something maybe we should do a little digging on and see some information, some actual research on it. But
here's a perfect example. Here's a sponsored ad on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what in that fucking...
This is uncensored. We're e-commerce uncensored.
We don't mark it in iTunes as explicit, and you can get in trouble for that.
Well, we might have to start.
Probably should. This stupid picture has a guy swinging a golf club, and it says, "Shop now." Tell me what about that picture is going to make me...
What are you buying? You have no idea what you're buying.
I know
that silly thing that's in his hand.
Yes, I know that's what they're trying to sell there, but it's flawed. People on Instagram don't read the comment. They don't read what's below, which is part of the ad.
But I think to Paul's point, you're taking your experience as like a fact.
No, I'm asking you what of that image is going to make you click.
I agree with you. We're in the same.
Tell me, what are you going to click on that?
If I was interested in golf, I would be curious about it. What do you mean?
But would your intent be to buy?
I don't know yet. What I said before, I would go to that page. I might follow them. I might look at some other posts which might lead me to their shop. There's a link in everyone's profile that leads you to their shop. I do that all the time. I just look at the shop all the time.
Story.
He's showing us some woman.
Look, everybody's interested in different things. The appeal is always going to be different based off the demographic.
But what are we talking about here? It's like we're talking about like people buying off of social media, and we tell people all the time, their initial engagement with someone shouldn't be to try to sell them something. Like for me, I don't know if you know that brand or not, but would that be a good strategy for someone to just throw an ad in front of you and say, buy now? Like, that's not a good strategy. Maybe if it said, well, I guess you can't really say too much, but if it was to a piece of content, this is one of the things that I told Josh he should do, is to start developing content on a regular basis and drive traffic to blog posts and stuff like that. Don't go on Instagram or Facebook or any kind of ad platform and say, sign up for my monthly subscription plan, because it's not the right unless they've seen you 6 or 7 times before you put that ad in front of them. I mean, he had two sides of it. So he had the 700 email subscribers who had bought in the past. So for them,
1,000 or 700.
Well, he has 1,000 emails, 700 of which are no longer subscribed to the service. So they're not necessarily a cold audience. They're more of a warmer audience. So he could potentially go to them and say, "Hey, we've improved the platform. Everything's new. We're developing new content. Come back." Maybe give them a discount off the membership. But that's the kind of person that he can go after and sell. Anyone else is a different story. They got to introduce the brand. He's got to say, hey, here's 5 free songs that we're offering. Come over here, give us your email address, and we'll send you 5 free songs, or however the hell they do it. Or here's a top 10 list of music coming out in 2018, or whatever hell it may be. And then, you capture their email, and then you can sell them, or you retarget them on social media.
He can even send emails out to them and ask them to like the page. I mean, if that's what he's trying to do, just grow the organic likes, or whatever they call it on Instagram. Followers. I mean...
Yeah, there's definitely ways that he can use his base of 1,000 email addresses.
But then at what point is that not going to mean anything anymore? I mean, Facebook, people really got angry when people used to buy likes, like my page. If you're an entrepreneur, they would spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to get all these likes. Then Facebook would be like, well, you can't communicate with those million people. Now you got to pay to. It's like, at what point is that going to happen on Instagram? You don't think that that's next? Well, we want to keep everything relevant. So now you only can, 3% of the people are going to see your stuff.
They actually already have. They
Okay.
changed the algorithm where the timeline doesn't show it in chronological order. It shows it based off
And
what
I
it
hate
thinks
that.
you want to. It
really
does
hate
suck,
that.
and they might change it. There's been a lot of complaints and petitions written about it. That just affects the organic.
Yeah,
Ads will still be the same.
That's why it always goes back to email.
Always. It goes back to owning your platform, really, or owning your audience, and it's like it always goes back to that, because all the good that Facebook has done, all the good that Instagram has done, they're not perfect, and they've done things, I'm sure. I hear a lot of people leaving Facebook. I do. I hear it all the time. You're like,
Yeah.
I'm sick of looking at my newsfeed and seeing the same crap all the time.
to go to Instagram.
Or,
They do go over.
look.
Well, wouldn't it be a successful way, regardless of how you do it, whether it's paid advertising on Instagram, whether you think it works or not, or just organically, if you get engaged people on that platform, then you can get their email address. That's what I think is all I'm trying to say, because email is your guys' domain. You know the best about it, but I'm on some email newsletters from brands that I found on Instagram.
No,
and I don't even look at their Instagram anymore because
you're getting emails.
Yeah, I know I'm going to be swarmed by their stuff, and
Yeah,
I was brought there from maybe months of engagement on Instagram first before I even was like, all right, you know what? Let me commit to these guys full time. I like their stuff, and now I get emails all the time.
Yeah, I look, I know people like Instagram, and I know my wife's cousin Phil, who plays golf with us all the time. He says he prefers Instagram because he doesn't have to read.
Yeah.
And it's it's just pictures. He's like, I don't want to read all the crap. I just want to look at pictures.
It's more refreshing. People can escape a little bit.
But at what point is that,
Well, I think you just need to take those social platforms for what they are.
Yes.
Right? You have to understand what they are and use them as a platform to capture email addresses.
Yeah, and
use them as an opening, not the actual foundation that your business is going to run off forever. But get a customer from that, and then that's it.
And that's
If
it.
you have their email and you have them as a returning customer to your website, then you're good.
And I think the biggest problem people have is I don't think you can manufacture that, and that's the problem. Because if your brother-in-law wanted to do it right, and he wanted to do it in a way that the actual followers would translate into money, he would have to consistently post over and 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 over until he doesn't want to do it anymore. And then he got to do it again for another year. And then he would grow an audience. But until then, man, like, you're not going to manufacture fake followers and have it translate into anything.
Yeah, but that would, yeah, you're exactly right. Would that even doing that, the followers that you do get from just posting cool pictures of him DJing and shit like that, does that even really get the right kind of audience?
No, and that, well, yeah, that's the other part. Like, you don't even know if it's the right audience, and that's the problem. It's like, let's go back to the original premise. People want these quote unquote vanity numbers. They want this 10,000 followers, and they don't even really know what that means. Like, it doesn't really mean anything. And his company actually is doing what our clients do. They come to us and they say, I want 1 million followers. And we basically say, no problem. You got to post every day, multiple times a day. Well, don't you guys do that? Like, no. You don't understand.
You got to put out valuable content on a
You got to
consistent
do
basis.
it over and over. It's a lot of work. So you might want to hire someone to do it.
And the content has to identify the right audience. So putting out nude pictures of a girl to get followers is not going to bring in
Right, and you can
DJ
do
customers.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want, but I think that, and this is, Gary Vee talked about this a lot. And I'm not, I'm not a huge Gary Vee fan. I like him. I did like him. I used to follow him a lot. Not that I don't like the guy. I don't even know him. But, his lifestyle is just too much for me. Like, I like to relax a little bit. But, he talked about it. He says, people want what I have, but they don't want to work for it. And that's exactly what clients who think they can pay for everything expect. And you cannot buy an audience. No. Yes, Adam Carolla talked about it today. If you have billions of dollars like the movie industry, and they just need a small percentage of people in the whole realm of things to respond, yes, you can do it. But for just regular schmucks, like, you have to do something. Mm-hmm. And that's basically, Gary talked about that a lot. He's like, everybody wants 1 million followers. And this is where the hustle came from. Because I followed him like 5-6 years ago when he first wrote his first book. And he basically said, like, people want 1 million followers. That's when 1 million followers on Twitter was a lot. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants 1 million followers, but no one wants to stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning answering every single tweet or retweet. He's like, and that's what I do, and that's why I got the followers.
That's what it takes too. It's not just posting once a day and putting a bunch of hashtags in your post. It takes outreach and commenting on other people's posts and all that other shit.
Unless, and this is where I think Instagram is going wrong. I see it a lot in the golf industry, and I know it's not just the golf. I know that it's in the weight loss. I know that it's in the muscle. You get some chick who's like works out almost nude, and she gets 20 million people following her. Like, all right, like that, it works for that because you got a lot of stupid guys out there who follow these people who have no talent other than they look good and they go to the gym in like a G-string, and like 1 million people want to see that. So,
that's the equivalent of putting a shiny object in front of a monkey. Like, that's not an engaged audience. Like, there's a way to get a lot of followers in a quick way, whether it's spending a lot of money and just stupid gimmicks like that and just cheap ways of women and sex and money. But you just have to put in the time and put in good content and really like create a brand and an identity for yourself or whatever business you have to grow a following. And like Kevin said earlier, exactly, you'd rather have 10 fully engaged like followers than 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 that aren't really that engaged, if there's like a 1% engagement ratio. So it's more just about the quality over quantity.
Yeah, and I think we went through this too. We would just like people just to get the follow back.
Definitely. Yeah, we're experiencing it too. We're trying to figure it out, but we did learn.
It's hard.
And it's frustrating because you put out this stuff on social media and you get no engagement. You get no likes. You're like, oh, that was really good. Like, what the hell? Maybe I should take a picture of my shirt off and put it out there.
Then we'll go right to zero.
Yeah. We'll go into negative followers.
Come on.
They might ban us from Instagram. Well,
so basically, I mean, I told him, to make sure that he manages their expectations and to know what this is.
What does that mean, though? We try to manage our clients' expectations,
we're terrible
and they don't listen.
Yeah, we're terrible at it.
No, we do it. We tell them, you're not going to get anything for 3 to 6 months, and then they stop a month later. Like, we told you this was going to happen.
Yeah, people just have it. People just have something in their head, like Kevin said, and they don't want to like let that go. They don't want to think anything different, no matter what you tell them, no matter what's the truth.
And they have this idea, right, or a business that they want to start that they think is wonderful. Like I'm sure whoever Josh is dealing with thinks that this is the best platform that anyone's ever seen, and all this stuff. Yeah, it could be really good, but no one cares that you think it's wonderful.
But it could be, Kevin. It could be wonderful, but it's like anything else. Walk up to someone and say, "I'm going to give you $1 million." They're going to laugh at you and walk away. Like even if you were really going to give it to them, right? Like,
what does that have to do with it? What does that mean?
Because there's like, even if it is the best thing in the world, it doesn't necessarily mean that people are going to jump all over it. Like, for example, a Lamborghini. If you came to me and say, "Here's a Lamborghini," I'd be like, I don't really want to spend $5,000 for a tune-up. I don't really live in an area where it's that nice all the time. The roads aren't that great. Like, all right, it's cool. My garage is full with crap. I'm not going to put... It's like, even though it's great, it doesn't necessarily mean, like, I'm going to want it.
But you have to communicate why you would want it in an effective way. Because I think that's the secret of it. It's like you have to engage with your audience and convince them that they should do it. Just because it's the best car or the coolest car. Persuade your audience, right? Because they're not going to believe you that you got the best thing out there just because you say it.
Everybody thinks their product is the best.
Exactly.
We think we're the best. I'm sure there's people that would... No, nobody can argue that. we did have a nice phone call from a client and a half.
Half a client?
No, we're doing one of their businesses, but we were doing the other one, and they thought the grass was greener on the other side with this other company, and they just called us back and said they're not happy with them, but they're in a 1-year contract.
Yeah.
So nobody thinks that we're bad.
Well, you have to go away, you have to try something new, and then come back and find out.
Exactly.
So,
well, we got to have Josh on the podcast. He can talk about it more. We can get to understand it better, and
I think we argued a lot on that one.
This one?
Yeah.
Well, we
argue. I think it's just
we see different.
We argue all day. So why would this be any different? I mean, it's the same thing.
So you guys all good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
All right, cool guys. Thank you guys.